Lady and gentlemen, yeah, how about now? Oh, welcome again to another episode of the Writer's Room, the incomparable Writer's Room, where the writers are in different rooms. Hey, this is how the magic happens. This is it. I do too. So the last couple of weeks we worked on various projects. We worked on Someplace Warm, and then prior to
All right. Hey, Terry. We can't hear your sound at all. And, fun
really,
fact, my microphone wasn't on the whole time. And now we can hear you again. So everybody's kind of coming back together at the same time. The same
woo,
technical difficulty we always run into, we find ourselves running into again. My microphone's off, and there's lag somewhere.
yeah, it's probably the internet.
Yeah.
There's a heat wave.
Dude, all right. So what do we got going on today? Last week we were off.
Yep. Yeah, so today we're going to work on a character named Grace.
Okay.
She plays our protagonist, BFF, in the assisted living facility. And we're going to try to figure out what this lady is all about.
So Grace. All right. So why don't we and also we may have Jeff Goltz coming on to
Yep.
write with us and play with the character and screw around with it. We're waiting to see if that's going to be able to work out or not. That's why if you look at the credits, it says maybe Jeff Goltz. So no promises to our viewer, Ricky
He didn't want
or
to be.
Ashley.
He didn't want to be credited.
Oh, that's God damn it! I put him in the credits. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I screwed it up from the beginning. I've already broken our contract.
Right?
Okay, so I'm going to move us over to the Google Doc real quick,
Good.
and we can start to walk everybody kind of through what we have so far and ourselves because we had the week off. My boys were in town for Father's Day, and then you were on a vacation down in Florida with your wife, literally saving lives, and all of that
Yeah.
info's on the Fist Deep show. But super
Yeah.
crazy trip you had.
It was trippy.
But you got to
Show.
see Joe Reeves, and that's awesome.
That was pretty awesome. Yeah, I got to spend a night in Nashville.
Dude,
I
can
did.
we have Joe
I did-
Reeves on the show on Fist Deep?
For sure.
We should.
Yep. I'll hit him up.
Okay.
We got some spots to fill in July.
He can come on here and write with us too if he wants. Joe's always welcome. Joe's great.
Yeah, yeah, he is good. He's a good dude. He's a good egg.
All right. So, are you in the Google Doc?
I am. I'm in that doc.
Why don't you real quick walk us through where we're at? We'll just kind of cover some of the stuff. Yeah, so just kind of catch everybody up and bring us up to speed with where we're at. Just start from the very beginning, from the very first show with Ed through the development of Judy and leading into Grace.
Right. Let me pull her up. I was just in it. So that's in our, this deep.
So the idea behind this is that Judy is going to be this former porn star. Grace, who we're going to be working on today, is her conservative roommate. I don't know if it's going to be roommate or across the hall mate or whatever at this community or whatever they live in. The nursing home staff is trying to get them wrangled back in because they stole this car, with the possibility of the car maybe even being the twist of that being the narrator. We have the paramour, which I think the paramour and the car will have the same voice, because since the paramour will be the person who bought the car will take on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. It always bothered me when he called me a girl, but whatever. He treated me good.
Yep. I was hoping we could get someone that kind of sounds like Waylon Jennings from the Dukes of Hazzard.
Dude, I can do that. Actually, there's a book that I read for John before his naps, and it's this dump truck book, and it's a super convoy Waylon Jennings kind of throaty. It has that kind of feel. It's a kid's book, you know what I mean? But the way that I present it to him, I do it in kind of that Waylon Jennings style character. I totally see what you're saying. I think it makes a ton of sense. Well, yeah. Let me say this. Then that means Dewey needs to have that type of voice. Because the twist is that the car is the thing.
Right, yeah. The twist is that the car is the one narrating.
You just want it to sound like the General Lee.
Yeah, what was the character the guy that would fill you in on bring you up to snuff.
Yeah.
The boys really got themselves into a mess right here, or whatever he would say.
Yeah. I always assumed that was the General Lee talking.
Did you? Okay. I didn't. I don't
know if that's true.
Put that much thought into it.
Honestly, I think Ed might have actually said something about that. When he was mentioning the Ex Machina in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So we worked on log lines. Our log line ended up being aging porn star Dupe's conservative roommate to take a road trip to Vegas. She can accept lifetime acceptance or lifetime achievement from AVN or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And then Judy Jones. So tell us a little bit about Judy and where we got her.
Yeah, so what we've come up with Judy so far, just kind of more of a free-spirited lady. She's in her twilight, her golden years now, living in this home, and she decides she'd like one last hurrah to go out, and we've kind of maybe in the back of my mind, I'm thinking maybe she knows her days are numbered, so she wants to make this like her going out with a bang, literally cross country to Vegas to get inducted into the Adult Video News Awards lifetime whatever honor.
Yeah, if so we don't know. Yeah, let's not get into specifics for the time being. So she lives in a nursing home, never married, some type of spinster, right? Independent.
Yep.
We threw around some porn names: Judy Jones, Lavender Dahlia, Violet Dahlia, Lorelei, Juliet, Marlo, Paloma. I just barely remember this conversation. Tallulah, Luna, Marigold.
Yeah.
I think we looked for old 20s style names. Didn't you go through a list?
We did, yeah. We just looked at popular names back in the day.
We think maybe she's terminally ill. Maybe she's not. She just dies. Um,
Yep.
Judy then was a former porn star, pioneer of something, and we're still kind of working on that in a racial scene. Girl, guy, something.
Something. Yeah,
something that
something
was
that.
a landmark thing for the time,
Sure.
I guess, right?
Yeah, and how did we come up with Jasper, Indiana? That's where my brother-in-law lives.
Is it?
Yeah.
We were just saying someplace small town, Indiana,
town.
and Jasper is as small town sounding as a place it
Yeah.
could ever be.
Sure.
Where you live? Jasper, Indiana. I mean, it
Yeah.
just sounds like it wants to hug you and like give you some farm fresh eggs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether that's true or not.
I did that. She lived a rough. She had a pretty rough start. Maybe home life wasn't so great, but was still had a good enough head on her shoulders to figure it out.
Yeah. Drunk dad, mom died, suicide possibly, left home with her sister, get an apartment, finished school while raising sister, potentially. Left student assist, graduated high school, first job, phone company switch operator, waitress, stock person, apartment. And those are all things that we can explore and they can talk about and have these little stories or whatever on the road about back when she used to be the switch operator or back when she was the da-da-da, right?
Yep.
Maybe Grace has some overlap in a field that is surprising to the both of them that maybe they both worked at for a while. We're going to back up just a minute and we're going to bring somebody in real quick. It looks like Jeffersonian Democracy is about to be admitted into the room. And I believe... No. Now I have to rearrange stuff. Hang on.
Can I see what we're seeing?
Yeah.
So I can position my shit.
Yeah. If you just center up on yours, you'll be totally fine.
Well, what are we doing? Because I need to know for the man here.
We're just gonna sit here and talk.
I know.
There we go.
How you feeling?
How am I feeling?
Yeah. How are you doing,
Yeah.
man?
Oh my God, I'm up and down and up and down. I am like, I bought a car yesterday, and I just, more like my dad bought it, and my brother's friend, because they were helping me find a car, and damn, I hate it.
Yeah.
Like, see, I was so excited.
Scoot that way a little bit, Jeff. Just a little bit. Thank you.
Is this public right now? Or are we already
Yeah, we're on.
Oh, well, thanks. Well, I shouldn't have said that.
Sorry.
Yeah, we went live.
God. Can I try to backpedal?
Of
You
course.
can.
Okay.
Well,
See, I didn't know I was going to be the only one on here. I wanted to steal someone's thunder.
Yeah.
But it looks like y'all are lonely bitches, and Tony
Right.
doesn't even want to show up.
Tony
But-
doesn't even want to join us.
No, not yet. But he's a better writer than me. Car wise, it's just the interior as like an OCD kind of person. Not kind of person. It's just that's a trait I endure. Sorry, I don't believe in labels. But anyway, it's this pattern on the freaking seats that makes my skin crawl. I mean, and it's that like velveteen texture.
Right.
Like the velveteen, I can't. I'm like, it's perfect for what I need. But the only things I like about it are speculative. Like, it's a good, reliable car. It'll last you a long time.
Right.
But I'm like, I have to spend 16 hours in this thing.
You're in a loveless relationship.
Yeah, well, but I'm trying to figure it out. you know, because like I have an albino groundhog taxidermy, and I have a cane toad playing an instrument taxidermy,
Right.
and I feel as though like an old vibe I would describe maybe a roadside attraction
Sure.
sideshow, because it's like that ugly gold, that just ugly gold where like in the wrong lighting like it looks like kind of silver.
Right.
So like I was looking at all the positives and I was like, dude, if I wanted to like rob some place or commit a felony, I could drive this car, because you know the guy over here is gonna be like, man, that shit was ugly ass gold. The other guy's gonna be like, hey, I ain't crazy enough, that shit's silver. And then the next guy's gonna be like, the guy was blonde and he had blue eyes and glasses. You'll find him. So this is like my internal dialogue with this car. I love it though. Like I drove it around today. I don't really. It's an okay car. And if you hear a bunch of banging in the background, my tortoise will not freaking shut up.
Okay.
Like, I am so, like, I think Hunky's like, why aren't you giving me watermelon? And I'm like, because I'm not right now. You know? I'm like, dude, you can't have watermelon every day. It's unhealthy because sugar's in a torta anyway. I'd love to give you watermelon every day, but that's bad for your health, you know?
Right.
Tara understand. Hey, Jake, are you a father?
I am.
So you understand what my predicament with my turtle.
Absolutely, I do.
Yeah.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotta keep them kicking.
I'm gonna get a pigeon and imagine what it's gonna be with that.
So, do you have like access to Google Docs?
Yeah, but I don't type and I won't read, so either.
So it doesn't make a difference.
No, you dictate it to me. You say words, and I will say words back. I do the writer stuff. I always throw off the, especially around other people, penmanship and stuff. And I'm a terrible reader unless I am reading like Twilight Zone, what's his name? The Twilight Zone guy.
Rod Sterling.
Rod Sterling. I can only read in Rod Sterling's voice.
Sterling.
You know, it's the only thing. This is my boss's, or not my boss's, my mentor's book. And here's me reading a little excerpt out of his book. He was a thin old man named Chubby Guilfoy, but it should have been Lefty. He had lost an arm, even though he knew exactly where it was. From a lion taming incident. Good thinking, Mom, and one-armed alcoholic is going to put me in a cage with African lions. I'm sure any 12-year-old would be okay with that scenario. And that's a true story, but that's me trying to read. So that I'm just proving my point so that like later on you don't think I'm just throwing out excuses.
No.
That's the best I can do. Ask my teachers.
Well, all we're really doing is just kind of character development. The story is, actually, we were just kind of covering all of this. So the way that the story goes is this elderly lady and her friend, who both live in the same community, steal a car with the help of somebody that works there, break out so that she can go cross country to accept this AVN type porn award for something that she had done in the past. Some type of landmark thing that happened in the 20s or something. So this ends up being kind of an 80s sort of period piece, because we need to leave some of that
period piece. When you said period piece and a porn thing, I just felt like that.
That could be.
That was fun,
maybe she was the first person to have sex on her period and
the first woman ever of all time.
Right.
Ever. She invented the shower.
At the time, they called it the best scene, period.
Dude, it was, it inspired Norman Bates.
That's right. That's
Right.
right. It inspired a whole genre, a whole slasher genre. It came out. It was called.
So,
They
so you're
originally.
telling me,
It was called a gasher uh,
Gosh.
for a long time.
you guys are terrible. So you're telling me this old this octogenarian
Yes.
goes cross country from where?
We think Arizona, so not really cross country, just a road trip.
Okay, so she's going on a road trip, and why are they giving her this award now?
Maybe
Right.
somebody. Well, again, if this is something that happened in the '80s, then this would have
Oh
been
well,
like.
you have to ask Tony. Tony can if you just ask Tony these questions, I'm pretty sure he was there.
And I wish to God that Tony was here right now because
Okay,
I think that Tony would love this concept.
I would way rather talk to someone, who's in the know on how it was back then, and he probably knows a lot about porn because he has his OnlyFans. But go ahead.
So, the idea being that if this was like the first, if somebody came up with, this was going to be the first adult award show that somebody had done, and it's at like the Marriott Greenlee room at the Las Vegas Marriott, you know what I'm saying, where they come in and give coffee and fucking croissants, and then they have a little platform stage where they call people up and give the awards, right? So the idea of this thing happening when it did, and the idea of it happening in the 80s was so that timeline wise everything would line up and things wouldn't have already been explored, because if she was a pioneer in the 60s, shit was being pioneered in the 60s that was like is still like gross today. So we had to go back to a point where it was going to be far more innocent, so that it would have more of a dramatic effect, and that it would warrant this initial award for this groundbreaking achievement, as they see it in the sex industry.
Oh my God. So as you know, I'm an expert on, female vintage porn.
Right.
Yeah. I love it. It's my go-to.
Right.
Uh,
I'm looking at everything behind you on your walls. It all just screams dusty pussy. So I'm
Dude.
excited to see what your take is.
dude, that shit ain't dusty, man. Shit rarely dry. All right. Anyway, hey. But I'm thinking that. So you're saying basically the first porn award they ever have, she gets accepted. So you need to build up an emotional attachment to her. So like something about, like, it might be honestly funny if like she's actually, because no one wants to strive to be a porn star for the most part.
Right.
Like no one, even porn stars didn't like strive to be porn stars,
Yeah. Well, she comes
so-
from a broken home, and we've got a whole backstory on her as well.
Okay, well, you can let me in on that at some point, but I'll say this about the cross-country thing. I love the idea of a trip to go to a porn awards, and all I can think about is Otto and George at the porn awards. And have you ever seen that clip?
No.
Well, Otto and George, do you know who they are?
No.
So I have a little drawing. It's actually a magnet. And he was on Opie and Anthony a bunch. It's a magnet of him.
That way a little
And that's George, and that's Otto.
Okay.
Ooh,
Gotcha.
that's George, and that's Otto. And so I'm not seeing that what the audience is saying, so just let me know where I'm at in the shot. I realize now that
You're perfect right now. You look great.
I get it. I didn't know it was cut out yet. So
You can go that way a little bit more if you want to go dead center.
dude,
but
you let
perfect.
me in on a secret. All right. So Otto and George, he was like the first guy to really do dirty stuff. He dropped out of like middle school and did like street performing from day one.
Right.
And he, some of his jokes, I think his opener was ever fucked a hooker in the ass, then sucked the load out with a crazy straw?
Okay.
My pecker is wood. I was circumcised with a pencil sharpener.
I like.
Hey, look, black guy, guilty.
I love subtlety. That's really nice.
And so I would look at that clip because I think he was one of the best to host it. The guy was so nervous the whole time. It was hilarious. I mean, and George is just the opposite all the time. Freaking creepy dummy made by Howie Olson
Okay.
at one point. Then it was remade by Tim Selberg, who's great at building dummies. But he made it look like the Howie Olson because Otto didn't want it to look any different. I love that. So I'm getting to know this story. It's silly, and my tortoise won't shut the fuck. I hear. You tell me more. I'm here. I just don't care about the audience, apparently.
That's fine. There is no audience.
Right.
That was
Spoiler
my
alert.
suspicion.
We're live, but we're alone.
Well, you're never alone. Ask Jerry Goebel.
Ah, Jerry. It is nice to know that somebody is spying on you constantly. And we ask for it. Our phones, our cameras.
Yeah, it's true. We ask for it, but it's like a public utility that everyone needs to have their job. So really nowadays, no one has a choice.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I think it's crazy that I have to pay like tax to the government when I buy a car.
Yeah.
It's absurd to me. I was like, wait, I owe you money?
For a car.
And I'm like, well, I'm confused. I was like, I pay for the car. Like, I know sales tax, but this is the kind of BS it's not for like, I'm not a Nazi because I think it's annoying that like the government takes out of everything. Like, it's one thing to be like, oh, the government takes a percent, like a big, percentage of your attorney shit. But like when it's like the government takes a percentage of my puppet shows, that just seems so weird
Petty.
on its face.
Right.
But I don't know. I really don't know anything. Yeah.
So Judy Jones is our main character, potentially. She is going to be the former porn star. Mid to late 70s, senior living facility, nursing home, or assisted living, something along those lines. Never married, spinster, super independent, can't acknowledge limitations, so she's got that stubbornness that'll kind of drive a lot of the stories and the conflict between her and Grace. Grandnephew is the only surviving relative. Possible porn names. We were trying to find stuff from that era, so we found a list of old names like Lavender, Dahlia, Violet Dahlia, Lorelei, Juliet, Marlowe, Paloma, Tallulah, Luna, and Marigold. We think possibly she's ill, and maybe this is why she wants to make this grand trek and break out and try to do all this stuff, because there's something going on, or maybe she's perfectly fine, but has something massive happen along the way that forces Grace, the character that we're going to work on today, to have to accept the award potentially on her behalf and give her emotional plea, and as the Christian goody two-shoe of the two, has to talk in front of all these big-tittied performers about her dear friend who, was the first person to have a 10-inch circumference, but
Wait.
or whatever.
The name that popped in my head was Patty Packer.
Patty Packer. Let me add this to the list. Hang on. I'm adding Patty Packer to the list.
Yeah. I'm really good at names.
Patty.
I'm Slovenian, and like the people around me, it's like my dad since I was little. Like he's just like, yeah, man, Johnny McCracken. He's like, don't get me started on Johnny Sekimestrovich. And I'm like, who? And then this is a phrase that I heard from him. Oh, imagine Patty Sekimestrovich. Imagine being saddled with that name your whole life. Just the phrasing of that. So Patty Packer, and so basically you're saying that her Christian friend is coming with her to accept the award?
The Christian friend is with her on the road trip.
Yeah, she may not necessarily know that that's what the trip is about.
Yes,
she may,
we haven't decided that yet.
we think we're gonna dupe her. She's been duped. She doesn't know why they're really going to Vegas.
And it's yeah. Well, wait. In the '80s, that Siegfried and Roy were there, correct?
Oh yeah,
Yep.
I used to have
Yeah.
an old Siegfried and Roy tape from the '80s.
I feel as though they're always a funny reference because they're two gay guys. One's a magician. One is a guy who has a problem with animals. And in fact, he's the best. He was the best in the world at it at one
Yeah.
point,
Right.
having a problem with animals. And they met on a cruise ship, and they were like, he's the one guy's like, ah man, I'm tired of pulling this bunny out of a hat. You happen to have a fucking leopard.
We're gonna need a bigger hat.
Well, yeah, but it should be a big. Well, you have to realize that there's an elephant that appears and an elephant that disappears, and that lions and tigers are appearing, and the way they're. Nah, I'm not gonna ruin the trick live. I could tell you how it's done, but to me, it was so fun to make that a part of it. But I'm like, the budget would not. We don't have budgets for tigers, a big theater to rent.
You know
I say
nothing,
we.
You know nothing, Jon Snow. A good script sells itself. We just swim in the money while somebody else hires the tigers.
No, I just would love the whole thing
Yeah.
with. Oh God. Sorry. I'm back. Someone
Hang on a
called
sec.
me.
I gotta switch everything up again. Hang on.
Damn it.
No, you're fine.
I gotta text her and say I'm busy.
There we go. Now we're back.
Uh-huh.
So, Terry, why don't you write on the whiteboard that idea so that we can put that down for later? So we actually have a whiteboard. We have Celtics for when we start doing the script, and we have a Google Doc that we're keeping all of our long-term notes for, so that we can access it and we show it at the show. So, like right now, they see the three of us and they see the Google Doc. So, Judy Jones will be the pioneer of something from whatever, pioneer maybe like interracial scene, maybe girl go guy, something that now might seem a little bit mundane, but back then in the 20s or whatever was pretty risque, right?
She showed her navel.
Right, exactly. Something like that. Something like that. The first
Best
first
navel.
Brazilian.
First Brazilian. Honestly, if you've already picked the lady to be like South American.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I
No,
thought
I meant Brazilian wax.
that was gonna be the
Ball.
first thing I loved about this, but now I
Now
like.
you're back to hating everything about it again.
Dude, you invited me. I told y'all.
I love it, dude. No, keep going. So,
Hey, you
Go
could
ahead.
be the first Brazilian to get a Brazilian.
Well, Colombians, you got cocaine, right?
oh, hey, real quick, Terry.
And Peruvians, you've got hell of like a profile. What did you
Now,
say?
see how you have Patty Packer, Packer.
I can't see any of your stuff.
I'm telling you. So
Oh, okay.
on Terry's whiteboard right now, it says Patty Packer, and the Packer is spelled Packer. I have it on my list as Pacquer, so that they're obscuring the fact that maybe she's the first person to do anal. Packer.
Why would they obscure that? They're giving her an award.
Because in the 1920s, you didn't broadcast that you
Maybe
were
they
taking
spell
in.
it wrong on the award.
Patty Assfucker doesn't have the ring to it, so they obscure the
I
name
don't
with
think
Packer.
I'm not
ACQ.
comfortable on live video, just a stream of conscious my way through freaking Patty Packer's possible innovations, unprecedented work within the pornography career of the 1930s. For me, that just seems not smart.
Why not?
I no, but the anal thing, I don't think that if you're trying to make her charming, I don't think that that's going to be the one.
No, I don't either.
Well, and I
The
don't.
navel thing is amazing because I just think that's funny, but I know that it's just absurd. I don't know what the style of this thing is yet, so
Yeah,
I'm always.
we don't know
first
either. Yeah,
absurd.
we're still unpacking all this. We don't.
Yeah.
We're not married to.
I just, yeah.
That's
Okay.
why we wanted to have you on so we could get a fresh look on some of this stuff as well. And what you're saying is ringing true, sir. We love it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I want it to be a sweet story. I want it to be a sweet story, and
Yeah.
funny. But
But
it does-
the absurdity and the obscurity is part of the fun of it.
Should there be a song?
Yes.
What should the song be like? What do you think? Like style-wise?
You mean like the main song that's going to kind of follow it?
No, I'm saying like it's a musical.
Oh.
Like where the girls sing together at one point. I was just thinking, I'm doing this on my show on one episode, but I think that, moving right along from the Muppets, I just love that. Dun, 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 dun.
Yes.
Moving right along, we've got the life on the highway. Yeah, your way is my way, and we know where we're going. Movie star
You're
is
exactly
crashing
right.
on- I love that thing. So what I'm saying is, what key should that be in?
You are exactly right. This movie needs that thing that maybe even bonded them together, that they bring up later on, that gets them singing, kind of like the Almost Famous part where they all sing on the bus. But maybe this is something that ties them along, that when one gets down, the other one can sing it as well. If we're talking about the same thing here.
Yeah, well, I'm just kind of thinking of like almost Wizard of Oz kind of thing, where it's just like now there's Tony was lying there dead. He's sleeping, so if you saw him on the bottom of the shot there,
All right.
sorry about you. I happen to have a keyboard here, but
This
I
is
like my
perfect.
head. You want me to do it? You want me
Dude,
to get this?
I want. This is another reason I wanted to have you on. I want to write a musical.
Okay,
Not
here's the thing
this one,
about
but in
that.
general,
You are
I wanna write a
so. If Tony was here, he'd be going off on you for being so presumptuous.
I'm sure.
But I'm gonna set up the keyboard thing here. I just gotta move the camera real quick. So I'm gonna turn off my camera, just mute my camera, or you can do that because that's gonna, I don't want you to have to redo things. Let me know when you do the camera and I can rearrange
I
everything.
have no idea what you're saying.
I just wanted to turn off my camera, but I guess I can probably do that here. Stop. Wait, I don't want to press stop video.
All right,
It's
I
gonna.
gotta stop.
Oh, that. All right, perfect. All right, you can still hear me though.
Yeah.
All right. So tell me what part of this? What is like the moral of the song? Where? What part? You probably think it should be during like the road trip, and then it wraps back around to the end, right? Or like where you play during the road trip, and then like a different version at the end of the movie, right?
yeah, I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
So I'm not guaranteeing anything, by the way. My brain makes me want to put. I just got this new keyboard, and
Why is the camera off?
what?
Why is the video off again?
Oh, because I was changing the shot, and I didn't want.
Gotcha.
You can. I turned it off. It says you cannot start video because the host has disabled it. So you can enable it, okay?
Okay. Hang on a second. I'm gonna put this one back in the waiting room.
And I'm gonna start thinking about a key to put this in.
Whatever that plucky moving right along key is perfect.
What is that? I think that's like a.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about. So this, I want to, I get a word or a phrase, like something that hits me, and I put G just because G felt, that's actually a dissonant G. This new keyboard, I can just. Like, it's the coolest thing. Like the keys feel better than $100 deck of cards, and an autistic person would know exactly what I mean by that. Or a magician. And some say that's synonymous.
Or a what?
A magician.
Ah.
So we're thinking. I'm thinking that. I just thought on the road again, another load again. But I don't want to do. I don't want to do a parody. I'm just thinking about that. So
and it doesn't have to be anything that direct either. I mean, in this kind of keep it in the spirit of Jim Henson. I don't know if either of you have ever seen Eminotter's Jug Band Christmas.
Of course.
Okay.
You know who you're talking to.
So the barbecue song is brilliant, right? Why your phone just dropped off, T?
Oh, did it? Huh.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get this at the right levels easily. Nah. I'm ready for what I want to. No.
Huh.
Fuck this shit. Okay, so I'm gonna be sitting on pillows like a professional. I feel like every time I watch Dr. Phil, when they cut the wide shots, I'm always so surprised he's not sitting on a pillow. So we're thinking,
There we go.
a life. Okay, so if her name's Patty Packer, no, I love that name. Vegas is a part of it,
Right.
and knowing. Well, they know where they're going, that they're going to Vegas.
Now, do you think that they wrote this song? Like they
No,
composed
I
it
think
on the
it's-
road?
Well, I don't know. I think it would be funny if they literally just broke into song. Like, and it was just like, there's like a little intro, like. It comes down to one of those feels, but the moment I find a pickup word for it, I'm gonna have it here, and I'm gonna change this to. No, we're going this. And my tortoise hates this, so you can hear the. My tortoise.
Is that what that is?
In the background, you hear that?
Yeah, thump, thump, thump.
My freaking tortoise. Well, shut the fuck up. Yeah, like, I think maybe there's something I can probably do about it, where I'm gonna change his.
Feed him some watermelon.
No, you should have seen how much he ate yesterday. It's bad for him, but he wants it. So what's she gonna do? So. No, we're not doing E. I feel like. I always find that what is the emotional core? So I have the comedic line through this. To an extent. Like. Stop, that's to play that. I've been lying the whole time. No, that's the demo mode that for some reason exists on there. So what is the emotional turn in it? Like what? Because the emotional turn is what's gonna really affect the song. Because what the song like this is for a movie is, at least this is my like approach, and again, this is me talking creatively, and anytime I'm creative I'm pretentious, so the fact that this is public is your fault entirely.
That's fine. Your pretension is
so-
on display for the world.
Gag. Is this song is that the emotional value it provides at the beginning needs to be character building, and at the end it needs to hit different. It needs to hit in an emotional way. It's like a Pixar movie, you know, a happy, you know. Something like that played over something like, oh, someone died, and then all the things you think.
What song is that? Hang on, your sound died. I've lost your sound. Terry, say something. I've lost everybody's sound. Hang on.
All yeah.
There you
Yeah,
are.
I can hear.
Oh,
Okay, yeah.
God. All the
Yeah,
money
we
we
could-
pay
we
for
could
this
hear you.
studio.
Yeah, we
So-
can hear you the whole time.
That's a piece I wrote. It's a little section from my magnum opus called "I Wasn't Even Invited."
Oh,
Yeah, it's a part of an album called "I Wasn't Even Invited." I've been
have you
working
seen
on that
Spinal
forever.
Tap?
Of course, it goes to 11.
What was the song that Nigel Tufnell is playing on the piano and it has like the "Lick My Sticky Love Rocket" or something as the name of it, and it's just this beautiful ballad. That's
I
called
don't
Lick
know,
Me-
but
Lick My
what-
Sticky Love Pump.
What do you want? Do you want a ballad? Because I am the king of ballads.
We may have to change the episode name.
What did you say?
I said we may have to change the episode name
Why?
because I'm enjoying doing this. I don't want to talk about Grace right now. I'm enjoying doing this. So
Why not? I mean, it's like a process for me. So what do you mean, Grace? What was the thing you said?
Grace, the character.
Oh, Grace is the other. She's the sidekick.
Yes.
Well, I want to learn about this because all of this is gonna. If I put a keyboard in front of me now, while you're telling me this stuff, it's building up a little a song in my head. So you keep telling me, and
Well, let me keep going.
as
with-
you tell the story, I'm gonna be building a song.
well, let-
So go.
Ooh,
I'm listening to you. This is how I work.
well, so
Are you too high to be able
No,
to
no, no,
watch
no.
me
So
multitask?
what we're doing is talking about the character Judy and finishing up talking about her, and then we were talking about Grace. I think what you want is for me to tell you
Yep.
what the storyline is going to be. Yes?
Yeah, well, but the characters are important. So
Yeah.
so just make confirm me on Grace and Judy, and then give me the story because the story is the most important part to me. As it comes to where the characters lie in the story, then I get to know the characters, and then I start writing because then I get the picture.
Okay.
But it's so.
Now we're still writing the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, don't you have I mean, I imagine you have a comedic appeal throughout the whole thing, but do you have an emotional drive? Like, where's that flip? Is it her being ashamed of herself for doing this and finally coming to terms with it by
Possibly.
exposing herself to her friend in front of everyone?
Possibly.
You know, I feel like that to me is the one thing that would emotionally like set it because I all of a sudden you're telling your friend not just I'm a porn star, I'm the best porn star.
Of my era,
That-
yes.
That's what it. Maybe she wanted to become the best because she wanted when she saw that award, she's like, oh. I'd be able to tell my best friend if I could tell her that I was the best. you know, something like that. But also just, I mean, the dynamic of that, and also you have a very, very cool contrast and opportunity for contrast there with the switch with her friend. You know, that switch there can that can affect everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But do I get a grasp? I want to. You say you're still working on the story, but I hear these characters. I want to hear about who Judy, what Judy's like, and who Judy is, and the Grace, and then we'll figure it out.
Well, actually, today we were developing Grace. That today's episode was
So the idea
ahead,
about
Terry.
kind of what we've thought about for Grace is she's conservative, she's religious, you know, probably had sex with one man, her husband, her dead husband, because the only
6
person that-
times in the 50 years they were together.
Yeah. She's a teetotaler. She just is just a conservative old gal, and her friend is
Old, so they're all.
yeah. They're in a like an assisted living
70s,
facility
yes.
I love this.
in their 70s, and so Judy, her friend, is the one who's more the free spirit that was the porn star. And and I don't know. Initially, I don't think that she's really maybe ashamed, but she just doesn't know how her conservative friend would take the news that was who she was.
She wants her to be there. She wants her to be on the trip. She wants her to be involved, but she doesn't necessarily, and she needs her. I mean, and they have another person that's going to help them break out as well, who will be the person who maybe has the crush on Judy, or however that shakes out.
Okay, that makes sense.
And
Trying to
furthermore,
take care of my work.
you're fine. And furthermore, just to add another plot twist to it, it may turn out that the entire movie's narration is being done by the car that they steal, and that you don't understand that until the very end of the movie.
And the car happened to sound like. I feel like the car should sound like Orson Welles.
So my
We
original
don't
thought,
know.
it's funny you say that, because actually we were talking about Waylon Jennings
Yeah.
and the kind of the General Lee sort of voice, that sort of gravelly whiskey sort of voice, deeper.
Yeah.
Orson Welles would work sort of in that vein.
Yeah. Well, what happened? What's really cool is he would resonate. If you notice, what he does is, this is totally the speech pathology that I'm obsessed with, but he would stick out his jaw.
Yes.
And that's a slight thing. Like if you're listening to me talk and I'm talking, this is my base level to my voice. This is BASE, and then as I start to go out, you have this more of a resonance, and I come back in on a resonance because it's opening that up. And then he would, first of all, instead of resonating here, he would resonate up here. So then it became a thing. This is Orson Welles, ladies and gentlemen. Out of character to assure you that the War of the Worlds has no further significance than as a holiday offering was intended to be. The Mercury Theaters, and then he's augmenting that with the false vocal folds,
Right.
which is like your laryngeal voice, like, right, at night,
Right.
Boy, ain't it? This is my demon voice. Just go, convince everyone that there were demons because she could move a laryngeal voice.
Remember that? There was a girl in England, she could do that, and she was a kid, and everyone was like, whoa, and I'm like, she not even uses her vocal cords. All right, so that's how that's done, and it would be quite funny if the car kind of had a voice like that.
But another possibility for the car that I was thinking of is, because at the end of the movie, potentially we're going to run back, if the car ends up being the narrator, potentially having over the credits the kind of history of the car, and then that history basically involving the day that the car was purchased by the guy who helps them break out. So The idea being that the car would have that person's voice because that person's voice is all the cars know.
Well, wait. But also, what do you mean break out?
Terry?
So the women live in kind of like an assisted living type facility, maybe not necessarily a nursing home, but
I'm
a
listening.
home
Go ahead.
where they have to, they're worried because they've just taken off and nobody knows where they're at. So maybe, they can't, they're not captive, but they're also not just free to leave. So they kind of, the guy back there is maybe running interference with the authorities or whoever, so that they can kind of make their way to this journey.
So I'm still confused on why they're giving her this award so like late in life.
Well, it's like a lifetime achievement. Like how they do it in all the award ceremonies every year. They'll honor somebody who was big in cinema back in the 30s. They don't. You know what I'm saying? Some of the award shows,
Like the Mark Twain Award too. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I hate award shows. They make my skin crawl. But I know what you mean. I get it. So I'm kind of getting this. I usually start with the characters too, with the story to an extent, as it comes to like a home base, but when it comes to actually writing it and creating it, I always, I have those characters, but I have a story in mind, like a main loop. And I don't necessarily believe that a beginning, middle, and end has to be in that order in a production or in a show or whatever.
Mhm.
But
Now, along those lines, can you guys hear me? Because your frames have frozen again. Okay, I think I'm lagged out on my end, maybe. I know. It's the worst. Ever since I signed that new contract, I didn't pay any attention to what they had to say about the technology.
I want to make a formal complaint to Wendy's. I am sponsored by Pepsi. Your colors are blue and red. Why the hell do you have Coke products? Amen. Next question. There's water in this. I had to get water in this because I'm sponsored.
Dude, what is going on with my interwebs? All right, so it's funny that you bring that up because another possibility that we considered was to start the movie in the middle with some sort of some moment that starts you in the middle of the stressful situation, which is it's a device that's been done a million times. Nothing's original, right? So we're probably going to tread on familiar ground in a lot of these themes. But start in the middle, backstory, meet back in the middle, continue to the end as one of the possible layouts, rather than going linear. Or maybe even chopping it.
2001: A Space Odyssey to me is kind of like that in a way, because I feel like the HAL sequence feels so much like the end, and the last sequence feels so much like a beginning, and it fucks with you. And frankly, when I first watched 2001, I was like, "What's wrong with this? It's black screens. Did we get the audio? Is this an accident?"
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
and I bitched about it and I complained through the damn movie, but. Anything's possible. What I'm saying is I don't think we can get like tiger suits. All I can think about right now is Siegfried and Roy and working that in. And you know what I want to tell you? So, yeah, you know how there's vents? I've always wanted to do this, and I guess this is live, so all these ideas I'm giving away. So, but who cares? If I'm not going to do them, someone else will do whatever. There's vents in the ceiling, right? And there's like squares and they get the air through. Well, that's basically what they have in Siegfried and Roy's theater for tigers. All those curtains on the ceiling, when they rolled up, because they were those fall down curtains or whatever those called, like the fancy ones, right? But when they're up there, there's about this much, fabric or like room that the fabric bunches up in, and that's a perfect amount to hide a tiger. The tiger drops in to that little hatch from a tiger vent, is what I like to call it. That's above the fucking. No one knows about this tiger vent. And then they get in there, and then they literally, once the tiger's in the cave, in the tiger thing, they drop the first curtain, the bottom of the curtain. So now it's black curtain from top to bottom like a tube, and then immediately drop the top curtain, because right as they drop the bottom curtain, they drop the tiger from the ceiling, and it lands, and the thing comes in. Now there's a tiger there, and all I can think of is like freaking out and like sneaking or something there, right? And then they end up in the tiger vents, and they're like running away from tigers, and they find that thing, and then all of a sudden they like fall down what seems like a hole, like they don't know what it is, and then the curtain comes down, and they're on the stage where everyone is expecting a tiger, and instead it's like an old woman who just fell from like 20 feet.
Just real quick, as a possible idea, playing off of what you're saying there, what are the odds that this movie ends up, the two old gals end up being more Harold and Kumar than Golden Girls?
I think that would be way better. And I think partly it would be both of them getting to know each other and their style of life, because I feel as though Patty Packer can really, she can start to build her relationship with, what's the other, not Judy, the bitch who is religious.
Grace.
Right. So Grace, they could really build up the, learn about her and how like she can deal with things better and stuff. I mean, there's a lot of positives to that mentality. And then Grace needs to be burst out of that bubble a bit.
Yes.
So what it is to me is like Patty jumps in way too far, okay, and Grace holds back too much. And by the end, whether I think by the end it would be good if they could meet in the middle or get closer to the middle
You think
as
they
a part
should
of it.
scissor?
Guys, you're the comedians
Do you
here.
think that Patty's was the first scissor, and that Grace is gonna jump in and help her recreate that moment live at the Las Vegas Marriott?
I prefer the tiger shirt, but yeah,
What if at the end you just hear as they pull apart, and then you get the slow clap? Everybody stands up. It turns into a full applause. But we lost Patty. We lost Patty in the moment. That's when Patty dies. That's when her aneurysm happens. And then she's taken off in an ambulance, and Grace is left there wondering why the hell she just scissored another woman in front of 286 people that showed up for the adult awards.
I know it's a porn award, but I don't like it. I mean, it's like, I just don't, I feel as though the motivation partly for me is like, as much as I work with puppets and bullshit, I mean, the things aren't real, you know? But the thing about it is believability still needs to be there to be emotionally invested.
Right.
So there needs to be like a level of believability. It's funny how quickly people will talk to Tony and, everything is believable because of the way you create the character. I just don't think, based on who Grace is, that you could possibly explain or put her through enough that would get her to be the aggressor in the scissoring situation.
Not the aggressor, but the willing accomplice that will meet her friend halfway for the sake of history. This is history, Jeff. Jesus Christ, we're trying to chronicle something great here.
I have to watch the old artifact of film but I don't want to watch a modern day recreation with the same cast. It's like, I want you to recast it. Please recast.
It's the payoff.
The opposite of Star Wars. What?
The payoff is the big sloppy scissor at the end.
Maybe for you it is.
No, to me the payoff is Judy dies. Grace accepts the award for her.
I agree.
Huh?
I agree.
Yeah, I think that's a good
And then
payoff.
Grace takes a canned ham in the butt because that's what happened in 1920, and that's why.
No, I don't like.
We're still not doing this?
The one emotional through line in this whole damn thing. You're like, it hits pretty well. It's like her friend. She ends up dying, and now after finding out this thing, she's probably guilty for how she reacted to it, and her speech is probably going to be in that vein.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you literally get an excuse to explain her inner thoughts
Yes.
by just saying it, which is like a cheat in writing, but you
Yep.
get to because that's literally what she's supposed to be doing.
Yes.
So I don't want to just throw in, and then she crams a can of beans in her ass.
No, wait. Now you're just now meeting me. So
I met you before.
this is exactly.
You were so high you didn't remember. Go ahead.
No, this is kind of what I do. So we have another script. It was what we worked on last week called Someplace Warm, and it's about a woman who murders her husband's girlfriend, who's running around with, and him, and then hangs herself. Originally, she also killed the kids, and then at the end of it, when the credits finished rolling and the screen went black, they all began shitting themselves.
You guys are real artists.
So you knew they died.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe
So
it.
we scaled that way back.
So we took that way back, and now we have a great script.
And now we have the kids are still alive and nobody shoots themselves.
But we also have
I
all
do,
opinions where we
honestly-
say cocksucker over 20 times.
Okay, well, I love that. But that's my favorite part. But I kind of think, again, as an emotional driven writer in a lot of ways, I got to overcome my mama, as they'd say. I think that you should kill the children. That's
I
actually
think
my
Chandra is
opinion.
down for that, and we have to get her on board because she's the talent.
Who?
Chandrea.
Who's that?
She's our lead actress.
Wait, you're trying to convince her to fake kill children and she's not into it. What's wrong with her?
Yeah. Now we decided to walk back to killing the kids, but we decided that instead of them all
You know,
shitting-
there are ways you can do it that's pretty fucking terrifying, and
Yeah.
you don't need all you need to do is implement. Remember that kid who his parents drugged him and then set the room on fire at Disney World? I never wanted to go to Disney World ever again because I saw that kid in a body cast. I was in a body cast when I was 3 years old, but it went up to here. This kid had it over his face,
Wow.
and he grew up to be best friends with Michael Jackson. Go figure. And I just say that terrified me, and now I know, hey, you could make a scene that will, the kid will have no clue what you're filming. But meanwhile, if they watch the scene, they'd be traumatized for the rest of their life.
Yeah. Well, we thought about thinking that the kids were dead, but then that's what it would seem
Yeah,
like.
originally there were two sets of shoes that would be shot from behind, and you would see them all out in front, and you would see the shoes from behind dangling, and then that would be the implying that the husband looked to his left and saw the kids hanging there.
Yeah, that's pretty effective.
This is the movie that we were going to start the comedy show with.
I know, so don't ruin it too much. I think it's good. Don't give me any more. But I do think you should kill the children.
But they do, and they all shit themselves.
I think that was a good thing to cut. Sometimes things gotta go.
What
He's
if?
gonna scale it back a little bit.
Oh man, you got dropped again.
No, he's good.
Yeah, I know, but it on the Zoom call it changes boxes around, which means that it changes where he's at on the screen. Let me.
It's all good.
It was the battery, man. This thing was like, excuse me? Hello, welcome back.
Welcome back.
Charlie had a very special lady come into his life. Charlie Raisin realized he wanted her to be his wife. Something came between them, then they parted ways and never spoke. Charlie knew just how it felt to have a heart and have it broken. Great song, you should look it up. It's called Charlie Raisin. I play a news reporter talking about Charlie Raisin. Made by Peter Michaels Jr. Look it up.
All right.
It's called Charlie Raisin. Peter Michaels Jr. Anyway, enough plugging. I felt like this would be a great time to plug. Because the only people watching who would ever watch to this point, you know, they have a problem. And honestly, it would be the first time a plug might work. So.
So, we want to keep Grace pure. We don't want her having anything in her bottom.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that's what she would want
if
to.
you guys want to strip mine all the fun out of this thing, whatever.
Yeah.
What else?
But I see it as a sweet BFF road trip, and that these two kind of get to know each other, and like Jeff said, they start coming a little bit closer.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think that partly it's going to be. I feel like Patty, and I'm just going to call her that. Patty would be a perfect person to go way too far into things, but her goal in this is to show Grace that she has like a few years left. Fucking live it up, like how it can be done. And she's reliving her olden days, but she's jumping in just like she did back then, which is head first, and anything she does to the fullest. Right. Meanwhile, Grace becomes the designated driver, but also during the time she's getting loosened up and she's starting to have fun. And there should be several things where you allude at the beginning, or like little like character traits that she changes, like moral maybe, because certainly you'll have a great time to reinforce that in the final speech in front of everyone.
And some of the little things that you're talking about for Patty or Judy or whatever is she worked switchboard operator, waitress, stock person in a department store, maybe stock person in a department, phone company, stewardess, telemarketer, physician, homeopathic healer, metaphysics profession, possibly auras and that kind of stuff to turn her into one of those kind of quirky spinsters that read hand palms and shit. My aunt was one of those.
What's your sign?
Is one of those. I'm not saying that as a negative either. My aunt's great. There are a lot of people that go that route. So, what's her?
Well,
sign?
I do like the idea. I like the idea. Sorry, what were you saying? Sorry.
You like the idea of what?
I like the idea of Judy, like having crystals and dowsing rods, and you'd walk into her place and there'd be incense going, and she'd have essential oils, and she'd ask you what your sign was, and she would go, "No, I don't fuck Geminis."
Right. Right. Exactly. She has people that she just will not deal with strictly based off of that question. She's just done with them instantly.
I'd say.
So we have her as independent, active, smart, lives in the moment. In school, she was an honor student, so she's super smart, but she didn't go to college or do anything like that. There were limited opportunities back then. Made a life on her own. Really, as a single woman way back then, it was an even more daunting task. So she's very, we were saying, kind of B. Arthur. There's a brawniness to her as well, where she's not taking any shit off of people, right? She's unabashedly unapologetic about her past or anything to do with sex work, possibly. Adventurous, never really pursued romantic relationships, but might now reflect on this and may long for a partner potentially. crochet, knitting, cards, bingo night, wine, lover, history club, book club, things like that, that we can tie her and Grace together as to the odd couple that made this unlikely pairing just through meeting at this place.
What you're saying, Judy and Grace, or Patty and Grace?
Judy and Patty are the same person. If I say Judy, you hear Patty. If I say Cooter,
Oh, so
there's
we're just dealing with two people, two women, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool. I got confused there. I thought there was like a third woman in the series. Like,
So maybe Judy is her real name and Patty was the porn name.
okay, well then I was kind of connected to this idea. So there should be just when they're escaping, it's kind of like when they're convicts and stuff. There was a third, and they left her behind.
Ooh.
You know,
Does she end
there
up
was.
being the one that rats him out and allows Xerxes to go over the pass and surround them in Thermopylae?
See, I don't know any part of that, but I imagine that would be a great solving. Like, you would probably solve it pretty well. Because I also just think it would probably make the tension of the scene, bring up a tension there. You're like, one thing is like the tension of them trying to get out of this place. But then the other thing is what people don't realize is getting out with people. Unless you're in that situation, it's like all for one for all. Well, no, man. It's like, hey, we're going to find a way. We're splitting up at this point,
Right.
God bless. Good luck with you. It's this time. I don't have time for other people. And I feel like you can get to that level, like full on, like combat action level, and they lose her in the fight. Now, the best part about it is the losing is basically them catching her and not letting her like roll out in a wheelchair or whatever.
Right.
But we set it up, not we, but you guys set it up in such a way that that you have that tension, and these ladies are like, no, we can't look back, look back.
Yep.
And they keep going. I think it would be good to have a scene at a gas station. Maybe they haven't been out in a really long time, and something about like something digital confuses the shit out of them.
Right.
I don't know, but something.
Along
What?
those lines, it's funny you bring that up, because one of the ideas that we had considered was this nephew of hers, who's the only surviving relative, is also heading out to Las Vegas to go to this porno award that he heard about, because he's a little pervert, and he's gonna go out there with a couple of buddies, and they run into each other without realizing it at a gas station on the road, possibly. So they have a chance encounter or two along the way, and then possibly end up finding out something more about it as it all happens.
Wait,
We
so
have a few
these guys are
subplots.
young people?
Yes.
Young people?
Yeah.
And then where do they fit in like the storyline? Where do they come from?
He is her great nephew, only surviving relative. So
Oh, so you're saying that like
Sister's kid's
when you're
kid.
setting, so wait, when you're setting up exposition of the facility, the retirement facility, he comes to visit her, right? So you know who he is and his
Yes.
relationship with Judy, Patty, whatever,
Yes.
that character. And then so by the time when they move, and then of course then it'll cut to him after they run, it'll probably cut to black after they're like, don't look back, and it's like them running off into the fucking side, and then it cuts to him, and it's his. Maybe she's like, I need to buy a car. He's like, what? And she's like, oh, I'm going on a trip, and if you set up like right before he picks up the phone, I get talking about him and his friends going to this porno award thing, picks up the phone, grandma, whatever, is like, I gotta buy a car. She's like, okay. So get a car, and she's like, oh no, we gotta go on a trip. It's like, things aren't, and he probably doesn't like the old folks home and how they treat her either. So he'll enable that. He'll be an enabler. And then you're gonna be having a situation where Grace is going to figure out this at the same time as her grandson is. But what it would end up being is Grace would find out. Patty dies. Grace goes up. Grandson finds out his grandmother is a porn star and she's dead.
Right.
He learns both of those things.
Yep.
That would be really a lot to handle. And it would be
awful,
that you wouldn't even have, you just have to set up to where by the time it happens and his reaction to what she's saying up there,
Meaning Grace, what Grace is saying.
Yeah.
what Grace is saying. Yeah,
About
because
his-
Grace is
about
going to go
his
up there.
whatever.
So it's like a domino effect. So you know, Grace finds out about Judy's thing, and they have like a fight about Judy dies. Grace goes and she doesn't realize she has to accept the award, and she's learned all this stuff about herself. And she goes up, and during this emotional speech, all of a sudden you realize the fucking kid's in there, and
Yeah.
he realizes midway through, his friend's like, "Why are you crying?"
Right.
Like, he's like, you know, that's the first woman to ever scissor him. Like, that's pretty respectable if you think about it. You know, nowadays it's just that weird thing that straight guys imagine lesbians doing, but back then it was groundbreaking.
Right.
That's the truth, by the way. And tell me a lesbian who scissors without a double-sided dildo, and then get back to me. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know.
What does it do? It doesn't that's the oddest thing ever. I outside of like, it's like, I'm not gonna go into Freudian sexual fucking philosophy, but all I'm saying is, to me, scissoring is a myth.
Right.
Yeah, I think to me, it's just comedic. Like, I don't think that lesbians are practicing this.
Yeah,
I
but
think
half the shit you do in
funny.
bed is comedic too, so you just don't think about it that way. Like, I think about myself sometimes in the past, and I'm like, God, that's so silly if you think about it, you know? But that's usually what I think in the end. I'm like, this is the silliest shit. I think you're on a good track. I have an idea about a song now. As I'm realizing like the switch, because something where I might end up, you might end up doing something where like you say something to the effect of, we're not gonna lose it now, or like or letting that go, like letting something go, like that idea, or we're moving on, that kind of idea of a song, and then at the end that has a completely different meaning, because at first it's, oh my God, we're empowering, we're doing our life, we're escaping from this hellhole, we're gonna live our last days on a friggin' adventure. We're not saying they're going to die, but like their short life they have left on an adventure. And then at the end, it's, instead of two of them singing, it's going to be a piano version, and it's going to be driving home.
Yeah.
And the drive home is always so fucking long. And you have something up here, like on the upper end, like I was thinking, no, I'm not going to do it. If I actually put the headphones in and do it again, but something very, doing that melody again, but like, this is not the melody, but you get the idea.
Yes.
And it would come into that, but like, that's like the when you said like the ballady thing,
Yes.
and by comparison, I feel like the car thing would be something like, like
They
something
should
very
all
like.
be. They should all be derivatives of the same song, though.
Well, of course, yeah, but it's hilarious how different. You play something staccato like that versus. I wasn't even using the pedal, but that's what I should have been doing for this.
Right.
But staccato, you just get a.
It's sunny. People are skipping around.
Yeah, well,
All the
you
girls
can
have
do
white
something like
dresses
that.
on.
But I'm still trying to find what the exact, because I know there's something there that's ticking in my brain of a little tune, and it's rambling back here, and it's gonna hit me at any time. The thing about art, and I hate showing people my creative process, but the truth about it is I put all this intake in there, and my subconscious does all the work. I imagine my subconscious, or it's the universe, and then all of a sudden it'll hit me in the head with something, and then I'll be like, oh, and then I try to remember it.
Dude, we're gonna have so much fun playing together on this stuff.
Dude, try our best. I like the idea of ending on an A. A, like for something about this story, A will close the door. Sometimes an E will close the door, but to me an E doesn't close the door like hey, bitch.
Go up
and
one
we're gonna
more.
have an A.
Go up. Can you go up one more
What?
on your A? Do that again. There you go.
Bunking around, but I think it should be in that kind of key center. Bunk bunk ba da 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 da. Wait. I honestly feel like one of the girls. I don't know what ethnicity they should be, but Papa loves a black star.
I'm not sure
I
what
just
that
call him
means.
like a black Aretha Franklin. I love her so much. I feel like that voice, that person, maybe even as Grace, and I know you're probably both imagining her as a white woman because your experience. I don't know. You just did that face.
We haven't even opened the book on her yet. Neither of these.
Yeah, well, maybe
nobody has.
I'm voicing my internal prejudice and projecting it. Either way, I'm saying that I feel as though a black lady would do a real good job, not just singing it specifically, but the character of. You could see too why she would still be friends with Patty / Judy or whatever completely. Because it's like, oh, okay. Like I can immediately see like attitudes, things they get along, things they do together, and all that stuff. Something about like a white Christian woman with like a crazy other. I imagine white because it's the porn industry back in those days. Let's make it believable.
Right.
In that way, but I think that would be very, very helpful. Also, I mean, I love that voice though, because I'm just thinking, because I wrote that thing, and I don't want to ruin it on here necessarily, but like the voice of it's like a gospel section or whatever, where it's like convicted by your reputation, for it was Christ that brought down the lion. I fucked that up, but yeah, I would want like one of those things in there, that like Aretha Franklin bullshit, yeah. I'm getting like a sound for it, and all of a sudden I thought, yeah, man, I feel like you need someone, whether it's black or white, someone who's sang in a gospel choir knows what that is, because it's just an art form that people don't realize. Beautiful art form. and I can say Negro spiritual. It's one of my favorite styles of music, and don't get mad at me because I keep looking it up. There's no politically correct way to say that. That's the name.
Yep.
And Negro's just the word black in Spanish. So, yeah. I learned that too when buying corset boning at Joanne Fabrics.
Yeah.
It was black corset boning and it said Negro.
I think E has a line over it.
Negro.
Has like dots, right?
Yeah, Spanish is
Harry's
better.
right.
But
Yeah.
but then there's also, I mean, the Negro baseball league. They continue to keep that as part of the league. You know, it's all about.
I don't.
It's all
I'm
about
all
context.
about that. And I don't know, is that racist? But I'm all about that.
No, I don't think so. I think it's all about context.
Okay. Well, I just think I love Negro spirituals. Because I can do them off the top of my head, you know? And I can do every goddamn part. Why don't you rock my soul in the boot of North Abraham? You rock my soul in the... So, maybe even a little bit of a quartet there.
Maybe,
Bum.
you think?
Because you got that.
We need
You got
a
that.
fourth person.
See on the sun, see, steady as she run. Don't you never let her catch you with your work undone. Well, the rich man lived and he lived so well, but when he died, he had a home in hell. Well, oh, you rock my soul. Why don't you rock my soul? I feel like you could. I like that. As a good beat,
All right.
and then at the end you come in and make it 4/4 time or 3/4 time, and just pull out the your heartstrings with it. Because play sad music over happy, happy music over sad. Pixar 2020.
Right.
So that's a little trick if you guys never noticed.
Give me an A.
Wow, I'll just do it like this.
And on that note, that's the
What?
writer's room. And on that note, that's this edition of the writer's room.
It's the writer's show, bitch.
Dude, thank you so much for coming. Hang on for a second. We'll continue to BS.
Yeah, once we're off screen, let me know, and I'll go over to the window where it's.
We'll wrap up this show right now. Terry, anything you want to say?
No, I think we covered a lot of ground. We definitely,
We're gonna have to do a Grace 2.0.
yeah, Grace 2.0. But I'm
'cause
digging
we really need to vet her out.
Wait. Why is it 2.0 now that Grace is African American?
No, this was, yeah, we're
No.
going to continue.
This
Writing about-
episode was supposed to be about creating the character Grace.
So we have that. So now we want to like do her backstory. You know,
Yes.
the next time we talk about Grace, we want to where she grew up. We want to get all that stuff out.
We want to
So it
learn
just makes
about
it
her.
easier to tell her story.
Oh, Tony knows her.
Oh,
So-
Jesus Christ.
Why can't you? We'll ask him next time.
Let's ask
Yeah.
Tony next time.
Tony will love it.
Awesome. Well, dude, hey, thanks for coming out, man. We appreciate it.
Dude, thank you for putting up with me. I told you, they told me, they're like, you want to do this? And I said, I'm the worst in writer's room. I bogart everything, and I poo-poo ideas. And they said, come on. And here I am, and I had a great time.
That's, well, because we allowed you to just take over everything and shit on our ideas.
Dude, you had some great ideas, like how many times you say cocksucker. And that's
I
killing
had to
it,
fight
dude.
for every one of those. Every one of them. He wanted to edit them out right at the beginning. I said, dude, just leave them in for a minute. Just let it ride. And the day of, we just kept them in.
Yeah,
He
Terry
only wanted about 12.
Terry was premature, and you pace yourself. So, and we'll see how it goes for next episode.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Can you hear the music?
Mhm.
Yeah, man. My keyboard is red, and it's the best thing in the world.
I still have Chandra in the credits.
So,
Who the hell was that?
Chandra was on last week.
Oh, cute.
She's the actress for Someplace Warm.
Oh,
And a director, and a producer, and a singer, and
I mean,
and just very much like you, just a multi-level
How old is she?
talented person. I don't know. how
30
old Chandra
maybe?
is.